Everyone talks about Phil Taylor, Michael van Gerwen, Raymond van Barneveld, but there's one name that seldom gets the credit it deserves: Dennis Priestley. This guy didn't just compete with the greatest, he beat them, and often when the stakes were highest. This isn't a fairy tale. This is Dennis Priestley, the man darts fans call the Menace, and the champion who stared down the best. This is the story of Dennis Priestley, and you are watching Episode 8 of Darts Legends: The Unlikely Rise of the Menace. Dennis Priestley wasn't a child prodigy. He was a coal merchant born on 16th July 1950 in Mexborough, Yorkshire, working a regular job and playing darts on the side. Most pros start young, but Dennis didn't go full-time until he was almost 40. That's wild, right? While others were already collecting trophies, Dennis was just getting started. And yet, within 2 years of turning pro, he was in the finals of the News of the World Darts Championship. Facing off against the best in the game, he'd won not one but 2 world titles in 2 different organizations. That's like joining the NBA at 40 and dunking on LeBron in your rookie season. What happens when a late bloomer faces off against the legends? Does he get crushed or does he shock the world? The 1991 BDO World Championship. The answer came fast. In 1991, Dennis entered the BDO World Championship for the first time. Fans barely knew his name, but he didn't just win. He trounced Bristow, a 5-time world champion, 6-0 in the final.
9 would leave double 16. Double 16. First time in the championship. Dennis Priestley, look at that. That's what this game is all about. But you're seeing a star. There, Dennis Priestley, the 1991 Embassy World Professional Champion.
That's the darts equivalent of a rookie knocking out Muhammad Ali in the first round. He also set a record for the most 180s in a single tournament at the time, with 25. That's the kind of stat that makes commentators lose their minds. His prize for winning? £26,000. That was the biggest check he'd ever seen at that point. Compare that to today's prize money, where just reaching the 3rd round can get you the same amount and the winner takes home £500,000. It shows just how much the sport has grown and how Priestley was right there at the start of that revolution. Priestley and the birth of the PDC. Here's where Dennis's story gets even more interesting. In the late 80s and early 90s, darts were in trouble. TV coverage was drying up, prize money was shrinking, and the sport was losing shine. So a group of 16 players, including Priestley, decided to shake things up. They broke away from the British Darts Organization and formed the World Darts Council, which would later become the Professional Darts Corporation, the league that now dominates the sport. This move was risky. The split meant Dennis couldn't become England captain even though he'd been picked for the role. But he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting to save darts for everyone. That's leadership. Would the new league survive? Would Dennis's gamble pay off? Or would he fade into obscurity? The first PDC World Champion. Fast forward to 1994. The new league needed credibility. It needed a champion. And once again, Dennis Priestley stepped up. In the very first PDC World Championship, he faced off against none other than Phil Taylor, the man who would go on to win 16 world titles. But this time, it was Dennis who dominated, beating Taylor 6-1 in the final.
Game to become the first ever Skull World Champion.
And there's absolute jubilation with his family. Phil Taylor, to his credit, rallied significantly after the break. But these are going to be the happiest pictures in the wide world of sport.
That win made him the first player ever to win both the BDO and PDC world titles, and he did it at his first attempt in both organizations. No one else has ever done that. Think about it. 2 world titles in 2 different leagues, both on his debut. That's legendary. Darts' greatest duel. After that first PDC win, Dennis kept reaching finals, again and again. But each time, there was one man in his way, Phil Taylor. The two faced off in 4 more PDC World Championship finals, with Taylor edging out Dennis each time. Their matches were epic. In 1996, Dennis set a new record by averaging over 100 in a world final, 101.48 to be exact. That was the first time anyone had done it, and he still lost 6-4 to Taylor, who averaged almost 3 points less. How do you keep going when you're always the runner-up? What does it take to stay at the top, even when the trophy keeps slipping away? Priestley's unique achievements. Despite living in Taylor's shadow, Dennis Priestley racked up achievements that few can match. He won major titles than anyone else between 1991 and 1994. He held the #1 spot in the world rankings, and he was the first to average over 100 in a world final. He also set a record for the highest match average in the World Championship, 102.6 against Jockey Wilson in 1993, a record that stood for over a decade. In 1997, he won the British Classic, the first BDO event open to PDC players after years of rivalry. So why isn't Dennis Priestley a household name like Phil Taylor or Michael van Gerwen? The answer is timing. He peaked just as Taylor was becoming unstoppable. He was always the challenger, never the face of the sport. And yet, he was the one who helped save darts, who set records, and who pushed the greatest to be even better. Even his prize money shows the difference. When he won the PDC title in 1994, he took home £26,000. Today, the winner gets £500,000. That's how much the sport has grown since Dennis helped build it. What drives someone to keep fighting, even when the spotlight moves on? Is it the money, the trophies, or something deeper? The mindset of a champion. Dennis Priestley's story isn't just about winning titles, it's about resilience. He kept playing at the highest level for nearly 2 decades, staying in the world's top 16 for 15 years. In 2009, he was inducted into the PDC Hall of Fame, only the 3rd player ever to receive that honor. Even now, at 74, he still plays in exhibitions, inspiring new generations of players. Even as prize money and TV coverage exploded, Dennis stayed humble, working as a newsagent and later playing in exhibitions after retiring from the pro circuit in 2015. He didn't have flashy celebrations or a wild persona. His nickname, the Menace, came from his red and black outfit, inspired by the comic character Dennis the Menace. But during the match, he was all business, focused, precise, and relentless. So, what's the legacy of Dennis Priestley? He's more than just a champion. He's a pioneer who helped drag darts into the modern age, and he's the underdog who proved that it's never too late to chase your dreams. But maybe the biggest tribute comes from the legends themselves. Phil Taylor, the greatest of all time, calls Dennis Priestley the best player he's ever faced. That's respect you can't buy. So, next time someone talks about darts legends, remember Dennis Priestley. He wasn't just a champion, he was a game changer. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep watching for the next story in our Darts Legends series, Gary Anderson, the natural talent who conquered the world.